ladies and gentlemen, to BSing Sports. I'm Bill. That's Ryan, as always. We appreciate you guys dealing with us while we missed a week. Sorry about that. Like we said in the posts on Twitter and Facebook, I had some personal stuff going on, and Ryan was having a blast driving around, seeing 10 different ball stadiums. Let's start with that. How was that, Ryan?
It was great, man. If I don't look exhausted, that's a complete cover up. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of traveling. 9 cities in 10 days takes a toll. However, before we get into our, premeditated topics of conversation, I do have something to say. So I was watching the Cubs at the Indians game. There was a fellow 2 rows in front of me who, the Cubs were out there getting mowed down by Shane Bieber like it's a lawn on Sunday. Um, and this fellow had an interesting take. He said that the White Sox correct manager is currently in Detroit. For those of you that don't know anything behind that statement, the current manager of the White Sox is Tony La Russa, who should probably be in a retirement home, got his AARP card like 40 years ago. And the current manager of Detroit is AJ Hinch. And if you really live under a rock, AJ Hinch was the manager of the 2017 Houston Astros that got caught cheating. So when this fellow said that, I was like, okay, I need to dive deeper. And I was like, why Hinch? I wasn't really disagreeing with the fact that he didn't like La Russa. I was just kind of like, okay, why Hinch? And then he kept bashing La Russa, and I was like, no. Like he kept saying, La Russa doesn't even know the rules, and there was certain situations like La Russa's kind of way behind the times, and I was just kind of like, well, man, I'm not, disagreeing with you that La Russa's probably past his prime. Why Hinch? Then he bashed La Russa again, and I'm like, okay. And I kind of snapped on him, and I was like, dude, I'm not disagreeing with you about La Russa. I want to know why Hinch. That's where I'm disagreeing on. And he kind of stared at me for a second, and I felt bad, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should settle down a little bit. Then he told me two very interesting things. He said AJ Hinch is a leader, and that he's a proven winner. Hold your reaction. He described AJ Hinch as a leader because in his post conference where he got caught cheating and thrown under the bus by his entire team, he admitted to doing it. And my first thought was, what was he supposed to do, guy? His whole team threw him under the bus. That's why the players got immunity to begin with, is because they ratted out their managerial and organizational higher ups. That's why AJ Hinch and what's his name doesn't have a job anymore, or AJ Hinch has a job, but the GM over there doesn't have a job anymore. And I was like, okay, so that makes him a leader because his back was in a corner and he said exactly what he needed to do, literally to save his entire baseball career. Because had he denied that, he wouldn't have a job. And then he said, well, he's a proven winner. I'm like, first of all, if you followed the 2017 scandal at all, it proved that he's not a proven winner. He is an asterisk winner. Secondly, subnote B to that Astros roster in 2017 was loaded. They were really good.
Everything was.
Especially the pitching staff, they were really good. I mean, I don't understand why they felt the need to cheat. I think they would have won anyway, but that's questions we'll never get the answer to. And I was just blown away by this guy making these points, and he's just arguing on it with me. And I felt so bad for the two Indians fans sitting right in front of me. I'm like, sorry you guys have to hear this, but like this guy's a Cubs fan for a reason. And I figured and then I was like, man, do all Cubs fans get dropped on their head when they're a kid? And then I remembered I have a really smart buddy of mine who's a Cubs fan, but then he's a Cowboys fan. So I was like, yeah, obviously they all get dropped on their head when they're a kid. But yeah, that was kind of one of the interesting sport discussions I had at the stadiums. But I just wanted to touch up on that and, let people know that if you think you're having a bad day, there's always guys out there like that think AJ Hinch is a proven leader and winner. So with that being said, we're going to stay to the baseball topic. And the big news in baseball is Albert Pujols' release and then his signing. We will go with his release first because that obviously happened first. Bill, what happened in LA?
So I don't have a lot. My brother-in-law was telling me earlier that there was a lot of backstory about Pujols being really difficult in the locker room, and he was kind of becoming a cancer. He's in the final year of a huge contract that he got. The Angels are still responsible for $30 million this year, and they just felt the need to cut ties with him. Look, over his career, Albert Pujols hits 298. He's got 667 home runs. These aren't stats to bat an eye at. 42 years old though, and he wasn't producing. I know he hit a home run 2 weeks ago, but I think that might have been his last hit in the season was about 2 weeks ago. And I mean, it made sense that the Angels cut him based on talent or or production alone. It was just still surprising because again, they're on the hook for $30 million for the guy.
Yeah, and I don't. I think at this point, with his production versus losing the money by straight up designating him for assignment, they DFA'd him. I think that it's worth it at this point because it is the last year of his contract. However, people are saying they're coming real crazy at the Angels organization, saying they did Pujols wrong and all this other stuff, and that it wasn't Joe Madden's fault, the manager of the Angels, that it came from the higher ups, it came from the front office, that he was going to be benched against a guy who he was lifetime 6 for 9 against, 2 home runs and 2 doubles. He didn't play that night, and then that was the night he got cut because apparently there was a blow up in the locker room about it, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. But I have also heard indeed that Pujols was becoming a bit of a cancer in the locker room, and quite frankly, for a guy that you gave $240 million over 10 years to be as bad as he was for 7 years of that contract, I mean, your time's up, bud. Granted, you should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. The MLB Hall of Fame voters are kind of, off the rocker sometimes. He should without a doubt be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But I, I don't, I don't see the problem with this. I just don't. He's
No,
not producing. He's not producing. And if they had continued to hold on to that, then they're basically just going to take the best player in baseball, Mike Trout, and burn his career to the ground too, because that's what happened with this contract is they tied themselves, so close to the luxury cap ceiling that they couldn't do anything to build a team around Trout. I mean, he's the face of baseball. He's the face of the organization. He's best player, and you're wasting his younger years. He has 3 games in the postseason. That's unacceptable for that organization who continuously misses on free agent signings. I think Anthony Rendon's the next one on that list. I mean, it's still a little early to tell, but he keeps getting hurt all the time. CJ Wilson, they missed with him, and they missed big with Pujols, and it is time to move on. I'm sorry. He did what he did in St. Louis. He's the best hitter for a decade. Time to move on. I don't blame the Angels.
And I 100% agree with you. I don't dislike the move at all. I agree with the move, strictly from a production standpoint. Now, as for people coming out and saying that they think the Angels organization did him wrong, look, he is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like you and I obviously agree on that. But even in your older age, if you want to remain a first ballot Hall of Famer, you got to show that you're going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And he just hasn't done that lately. So
what's he hitting this year? 198 with 2 home runs, and he's actually gotten substantial time at first base because Shohei's been the DH most of the time.
Yeah. The production just wasn't there. It was time to go.
Yeah. Now on to the more recent news of him signing with the other LA team. I guess the good news is he doesn't have to, pack his house and move very far.
Yeah, so obviously earlier today, about 2.5 hours ago, we all got the notification Albert Pujols signed with the Dodgers for the league minimum. And I mean, if you're the Dodgers, first of all, let me go from Albert Pujols' angle from this. You're not effective as a fielder anymore, and you've just signed with an NL team that doesn't have the universal DH. Like you've signed with a team that I get it. Maybe you win another ring because the Dodgers are good. But outside of that, what kind of production are you going to offer? A 1 at bat here and there? Hope that you get like a stairs result in the playoffs. It's just
no kidding.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So you've handcuffed yourself to sitting the entire season. Now you could have sat at home on your couch and won $30 million. Like good for you. And you chose to go to the Dodgers. I'm just curious on the Dodgers signing, not re-signing with another team. I'm just curious about it being an NL team.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm a little confused by this signing as well. I don't get it. The Dodgers are one of the deepest lineups, the deepest benches, especially when Bellinger comes back. They're just going to be that much better. Where do they have room for this guy? And who was he outperforming that's on their current roster that justifies the signing? To me, this is more of like a pity signing of a league minimum. We'll keep him on the roster. Let's see if we can't win him another ring, which, by the way, the Dodgers have their own issues to figure out. They've really been hit hard the last 3 or 4 weeks, or not been hitting hard because they're just loose. I think they were like 4-14 at one stretch. But yeah, I don't get it. Mind blown.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I can go at it from the Dodgers angle. Like you said, maybe they're just trying to get him another ring. Maybe they think maybe his veteran presence can come in and maybe help him get some ABs. I don't know. It's a really curious signing for me.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
So we're going to kind of bounce around from subject to subject here. So the next big thing on our sports docket is the Aaron Rodgers news. Those of you who are living under a rock, there's a guy, quarterback in Green Bay by the name of Aaron Rodgers. He's been openly critical about the Packers organization and that he doesn't want to be there anymore. And in response to that, in the last 4 days, the Green Bay Packers have signed 2 separate quarterbacks, one being Blake Bortles, former starting quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2017 when they went to the AFC Championship, and a guy whose name I cannot even think of off the top of my head, so I have to go back in my messages with Ryan, Kurt Benkert, backup quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons last year. I don't know anything about this kid, and I apologize if he's listening. Cool for listening to us, my bad. But I don't know anything about him. So um, the first part about this I want to touch on is Rodgers, does he hold out? My answer is yes. You and I have gone into detail, very explicit detail about this. He's got no reason to show up if he thinks he's only got 3 years left on that shoulder of his. Why show up and use one of them on a team that you don't want to play with and isn't putting pieces around you to win? And then the other part of that we are going to touch on is where do you think he lands? So for starters, let me let you go on the does he hold out?
I'm going to say no. So
Okay.
I have this crazy theory. So I was in the car alone today for 10 and a half hours listening to my own thoughts, music, and podcasts. So I developed this theory, and I read it's based on an article that I read. It was either yesterday or 2 days ago that said Rodgers will come back to the Packers under one circumstance, is that he is contractually guaranteed that he is their starter. And if Green Bay is serious about making that happen, I could see them trading a quarterback, just not Rodgers. I could, if they want to move Jordan Love might have some value to somebody, and obviously that'd be the one that they'd have to move. I don't think Rodgers is concerned about Blake Bortles or some guy that like nobody can even really name, or probably didn't even know that they signed. That wouldn't have even been news had Aaron Rodgers not talked about holding out. But I don't. It's not crazy. It's not outlandish that happens, especially with the season Rodgers just had. Now you got to start asking the same questions we asked about Tom Brady. How much longer does he have? I mean, he just lit the world on fire last year. So those are some serious questions. If he does leave Green Bay, which is also a possibility, Denver's got the capital to do it. They've got the cap space. They've got the picks. They've got even some young talent they could give up if they so desire. So I think Denver's a realistic option, and my dark horse pick there is New Orleans.
Okay, so I don't have either of them. I know that Denver is like the favorite amongst all NFL analysts right now. They think that Denver's going to go out, make a push, and get Aaron Rodgers. I had a bigger dark horse than your New Orleans. I think it's possible that, again, I'm predicting 2, maybe 3 years out of Aaron Rodgers. I think possibly the Miami Dolphins would make a push for him. And hear me out on this one. I know that they have Tua Tagovailoa. However, around Tua Tagovailoa, they have a lot of good pieces. If they're in a win now stage and they're really trying to get pushed, it'd be good for Tua to sit 2 years, 3 years behind Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's Aaron Rodgers. So my dark horse to come and get him is the Miami Dolphins. I figure they give up 2 firsts and a second to the Packers. The Packers should probably jump on that. And the Dolphins, if Aaron Rodgers goes to the Dolphins, they're on my next tier of AFC contenders.
That's not crazy. I just want to make a point before you go to your main contender for him. That's not as crazy as it sounds. My only beef with that is, would Rodgers want to go to basically the same situation he's got going on in Green Bay? Young quarterback who's eventually going to take over the franchise, like sitting right behind him. He basically made no adjustments. Green Bay's also a win now team. That'd be my only thing with that. However,
hold on. Here's my argument for that. Is if Miami goes out of their way to go get Rodgers, it's Rodgers' peace of mind to know they wanted him. The Packers went and drafted Jordan Love, so Rodgers feels like, okay, well now I got this kid breathing behind my neck.
And didn't talk to Rodgers about it.
Yeah, but if he goes to Miami, it's like, okay, Miami gave these picks up to put me in place to win. Here I am. It's my team. I'm going to perform.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. No argument here.
Okay. The Bortles signing is like no news. Rodgers, obviously, most consecutive seasons with a passer rating over 100, 6 of them. 5th highest postseason passer rating, 99.4. The guy just shows out. First 4-1 touchdown interception ratio. It's the Broncos. My main contender is the Broncos. Everybody's main contender is the Broncos. That's why I didn't bring it up, so I just wanted to go to the Dolphins.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's the most obvious pick. And could you imagine like the quarterback play in that division? Herbert, Mahomes, Rodgers, and like as far as worst quarterbacks in the division go, if Derek Carr is the worst quarterback in your division, you're actually doing pretty good. Like
Yeah, yeah.
that'd be some sick play. But leading into our next topic,
Again, we are all over the place.
yeah, for we got a lot to catch up on, guys. We're kind of doing this in chronological order. This is probably going to be a longer episode, so just stay tuned with us, or break it up into two parts if you want. Anyway, uh, leading into our next topic, for the third time this year, somebody got no hit. This time it was Wade Miley. I watched actually most of that game, dude, and he looked really good.
So I didn't get a chance to watch this particular game. I caught a lot of the highlights of it. But Miley looked dominant. He didn't look like he was getting a lot of umpire help, which I really like when you get a no. Like if you're throwing 3 inches, 4 inches off the plate, and the umpire is giving you calls, that's a little bit different. But from the highlights I got, he was just on. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome for Miley to go in there and just completely dominate the Indians.
So, and this kind of ties into a later topic that I want to bring up now, just because it fits better. Uh, I had something on our document that said baseball is changing, and I'm going to write a recap. But so I was at the Phillies game against the Brewers, where Zach Wheeler threw a 2-0 shutout. 3 years ago, with the situation Wheeler was in, with 2 on and 2 out, or 1 out, excuse me, in the top of the ninth, at his pitch count over 100. Probably gets pulled there. Girardi did not. He stuck with his guns. He got out of the inning, and they won the game 2-0. Kept the shutout at 118 pitches. A couple days later, I'm in Cleveland. I'm watching reigning AL Cy Young Award winner Shane Bieber look absolutely terrible. He looked awful. If you go look at his stat line, 6 2/3, 2 earned, 8 strikeouts. That does not look terrible. This guy allowed 13 base runners in 6 2/3 innings. He was awful. However, through 6 innings, he's at 102 pitches, looking as bad as I just described that he looked. He had allowed 11 base runners to this point. What does he do? Jog right back out to the mound for the 7th. That doesn't happen in the previous couple of years. So with all these no-nos going on, pitchers are working deeper into games. Aaron Nola got his first complete game shutout in a situation that, quite frankly, had this been 2 years ago, I don't think he would have been able to go. He was already at over 100 pitches past the 8th inning. So to me, is baseball coming back a little bit, do you think, Bill? Like these starters are getting, deeper work into games. We're seeing 3 no-hitters in the first, 5 weeks of the season for the first time.
Means threw one the next day. So Miley threw
Well,
one, and then Means threw one for Baltimore.
So it should be it was Miley, Means, and then the first one was Musgrove, wasn't it?
That was a couple weeks ago, but yeah, Musgrove. But
Yeah,
Means
but I'm saying there's should be 3 no-hitters on the season. Because I know Manaea almost threw one the same night as Miley. And
not Giolito. Somebody on the Tigers has one too, or White Sox rather. I think there's 4. I think Means was
okay.
the 4th one.
Anyway, at some point, I think when the 3rd no-hitter was thrown, there was like a stat that there hadn't been 3 no-hitters thrown that quickly in over 100 years. Yeah. And I think, like I'm saying, baseball is changing like a little bit. Like it might be a little bit too early to tell. Maybe these starters are working a little bit deeper because they didn't have as many innings on their arms last year. But I don't know. Like it's uncommon nowadays to see starters get run back out there well over 100 pitches, so not pitching well.
I have 2 theories on this. Theory 1 is last year it was a shortened season, so nobody put 200 innings on their arms. Right. So theory 1 is, okay, they're all relatively rested. Yeah, they had, I think Zach Wheeler pitched 15 games last year. And that might be even more than he pitched.
I think it was like 12 or 13.
Yeah, exactly. So I think some of it may be the managers realizing last year wasn't a full season. They didn't put 200 innings on those arms, so they can go 110, 115, 120 pitches before they get pulled. The other thing is, and I can't speak for every team in baseball, but Shane Bieber is Shane Bieber. You're going to give him an opportunity to figure it out. Zach Wheeler has been really good for the Phillies this year. And I think it really says something for Joe Girardi to leave him in there, because we've seen in the past, even with Girardi last year, we've seen in the past, as you already pointed out, 2 on, 1 out, 6th inning, 80 pitches, and somebody will get pulled, even when they've got the 3 or 4 run lead. So I hope you're right and the baseball is coming back. Baseball changing in that sense would be wonderful and amazing. The other side of baseball changing, and you and I talk about this all the time, I believe it was a Brewers-Phillies game last week. It was the 8th inning. Zach Wheeler was dealing. Brewers' first batter comes up of the inning. I don't know who they were, so I'm not going to act like it. No, we're going to move that one up. So Brewers' first batter comes up, swings the first pitch, pops out. Second batter comes to the plate, swings at the first pitch. And you and I immediately texted each other and we were like, how do you
Oh,
not take a pitch in that situation? Baseball's changing
oh,
in the sense that when we were kids, our dads would have pulled us out of the lineup and sat us on the bench.
no, dude. So yeah, I remember that. I was God, what game was it? No, I was at one of these games. It was the Red Sox. No, Red Sox. It was the Orioles game I was at. It was actually an Orioles Red Sox game, but it was in Baltimore. And Baltimore was down 4-3 going in the bottom of the ninth. And the leadoff batter down 1 run swung at the first pitch and popped it up. And I texted you guys that, and I said I would be able to taste leather for a week with how far up my ass my dad would break his foot if I did that.
Yeah.
Like there's no what? Like and then I started thinking on it a little bit, and here's my theory for that. I understand it against the starters because with bullpen arms being as nasty as they are nowadays, so much movement, so much velocity, so much lack of control that you want to, tag the starter. You want to hit the hittable pitches. You don't necessarily want to chase the starter from the game right away like you used to back in the day, where like there's only 3-man rotations and guys would have to come back out 2 days later and throw another 100 pitches. So you wanted to get them out of the game right away. But against that situation, man, like I would be on the bench for like the rest of the next series if I swung at that pitch. And then there was another situation where the bases were loaded, less 2 outs, a 1-0 count on the batter after the previous batter had walked, and he's swinging at the 1-0 pitch, which was a borderline strike. I mean, what happened?
5 straight balls, you're not swinging at the 6th one. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, I don't like, man alive. Like there's no discipline, no patience anymore, which is weird because walk, strikeout, home run seems to be the theme anymore. But in certain situations, some of these batters don't pick their spots, and it seems to be a common theme in baseball.
Yeah, baseball's changing. Moving forward a little bit, I wanted to lead into this one because I want to tell you how my brain worked on this particular evening. Phillies are playing the Washington. We're talking about showboating here real quick. Phillies are playing the Washington Nationals. Chase Anderson throws a ball to Juan Soto. Those of you who don't know, Juan Soto is a good baseball player. And when he takes a ball, he does what is called the Soto shuffle. He looks at the pitcher and he stares him down and he shuffles in the batter's box. I texted Ryan and I said, man, I really hate that. Oh, I'm sorry. It was Zach Wheeler. That's who it was. I said, man, I really hate that. I wish Wheeler would throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball at his head. I have since come around on that, and here's why. So later in the game, the Phillies are down 2-1 in the bottom of the 9th inning, or top of the 9th inning, rather. Odubel Herrera comes to the plate, hits a no-doubt home run, and then immediately flips the bat out of excitement almost into the Nationals dugout. And I loved it. And I thought to myself, I'm being a little biased. So I really sat down and thought about it. Which ones do I like and do I not like? Do I not like Soto because he's a National? And the answer is no. I don't like the Soto shuffle specifically because of how he stares down the pitcher. If he looked down and shuffled, I wouldn't care. But because he's staring the pitcher down, you're right, it's a mental game, 100% mental. You get in the pitcher's head, you do your little shuffle, you gain some confidence. That's wonderful. That's great. And to your point, if you get people out, he can't do that. If you get them out, he can't do that. However, so I don't like the Juan shuffle specifically. And I know this because when I was watching the Braves and Phillies game, Ronald Acuna hit a monster moonshot off of somebody. And then he did his stir the pot thing. And it doesn't bother me. I love that. Get your team riled up. Let's go. And it's a Brave. And I don't like the Braves either. So it really is just specifically showboating that I don't particularly like. And then again, I'm a little bit biased because Herrera did the bat flip, and I love the bat flip. I don't care who you are. The Batista one a few years back was the best one I'd ever seen. Another one that I really don't like, and I think you might agree with me, is Ezekiel Elliott's "Feed Me." That one drives me up a wall.
So Trevor Bauer is probably the most controversial dude in sports on Twitter because he says whatever comes to his mind and he doesn't really care. I agree with his stance. He put out a tweet that said, pitchers are soft if you let celebrations get to you. Get over it. And he's one to celebrate on the mound after a strikeout too. And he applauded somebody after they celebrated on him. I watched, when I was up in New York, I watched the Yankees play the Nationals, and Soto did that shuffle once because his stat line was 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. And that is the easiest way to stop anybody from celebrating, is to not give them a reason to. He was doing the Soto 2-step back to the dugout 3 times. So that's my take on that. Is I have no problem with any celebrations, just better back it up. If you go 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts and hit a walk-off homer, or even Brett Phillips, the guy from the Rays the other day, where he was 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts, and then he hits that walk-off homer and does this airplane thing around the bases. Like, I'm good with that. Like, you
Absolutely.
came up big, that's fine. But if you go 1 for 4 with a single in the top of the second that nobody's going to remember, like, now you need to back that stuff up, in my opinion. But I have no problem with it. It is really all a mental game, especially that Soto shuffle. If you let it get to you, he wins. So that's more about like the mental aspect of sports. Speaking, hold on, wait. I want to touch on this real quick because I was there. Corbin Burns set the record for most strikeouts to start a season or at any point in a season without a walk. And with home runs, walks, and strikeouts being all the way up, that's, 2/3. Like, that's really impressive. Like, he didn't walk anybody for 58 straight strikeouts. That's unheard of.
Yeah,
That doesn't happen.
the last person to do that was Kurt Schilling in 2002 for the Arizona Diamondbacks. However, right now, Corbin Burns' record may not stand very long. Garrett Cole is sitting at 56 right now and counting.
Yeah, and he starts either tonight or tomorrow. I know
Yeah.
he's relatively soon.
So unless he walks the first batter of the game, I'm thinking Corbin Burns isn't going to hold that title very long. But I mean, it's a game of pain.
To be fair, is Cole's to start the season too? I thought Burns's was just to start. Yeah, I didn't know if Cole's was to start the
I
season.
actually don't know if Cole's is to start the season. I know that he's sitting at 56 straight.
Yeah,
and counting.
yeah, 56 straight without a walk. Yeah, and I'm assuming that he'll break that. But yeah, no, both guys, excuse me, equally as impressive, especially for somebody like Burns who missed 2 weeks with COVID. He's only at 31 innings. So another record that was broken though. Another game that I was at, Miguel Cabrera. What did he do? Can't really read that.
Miguel Cabrera breaks record for hits for Venezuelan-born players on Wednesday night. He's got a total of, this was on Wednesday night. He had a total of 3,253 hits. Like I said, he broke the record for Venezuelan-born players with the hit he had on Wednesday night. It was a double, if I'm not mistaken, right? RBI double?
No, it was a single, RBI single.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, congratulations to Miguel Cabrera.
How many hits did you say?
3,253.
That doesn't sound right. Because at the game they said 2,877.
You know what? This wonderful little computer next to me. Let's find out.
Let's Google it. Let's see who's right, Google or the game. Meanwhile, while he's Googling that, I want to touch on the fact that Tim Tebow just signed with the Jaguars for a 1-year deal and sparked a lot of controversy.
I have no idea where I got 3,000 hits from. I'm sorry. I don't know what I was reading. Maybe.
To be fair, he could finish with.
No, I've got it now. He's got 3,253 total bases.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. My apologies. But yeah, you're right. 2,878 hits.
Yeah, that's passing Omar Vizquel.
Yes. As Ryan just previously mentioned, Tim Tebow to the Jaguars as a tight end. So I didn't really go into too much detail with you. However, there was a Facebook chat back and forth between me, my old man, and a handful of people on the thing that was posted. Tim Tebow, in my opinion, has been given more chances than I think any player deserves. Now, is he still in great shape? Yes. Is he still probably able to truck a small corner safety? Probably. But it's just a curious signing because you come out of college, you're not a particularly good quarterback. You get a chance with 3 other teams before they finally realize, okay, you're not a good quarterback, and you're out of the league. You go to the New York Mets organization to play baseball. You never get past the AA. I think maybe you played a few at-bats in the AAA organization. You don't really succeed there, so you leave. You do some announcing. Now, all of a sudden, 2 years later, you decide, you know what? I think I'm going to go play tight end for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And for some reason, the damn team says yes. Like
Urban Meyer.
I understand that it's Urban Meyer. Regardless of who it is as a coach, Tim Tebow has been the biggest charity case in the last 15 years of sports.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. I'm going to agree with your stance all the way, and I'm going to even get a little bit harsher. This signing is just absolutely mind-blowing. You just drafted the best quarterback prospect probably in the last 20 years, and he's not even going to be the face of your franchise because you just signed this glorified, media wonder boy, and Tim Tebow is going to steal all the news from the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yes.
And that is not a good look. All the news, and as I've stated before, I'm not a big proponent of the quarterback makes a football team. However, that's the way we live in today's society. and all the news needs to be on Trevor Lawrence. This guy is a legitimate,
Yes.
super stud coming out of college, potential through the roof. Like I said, best prospect in the last 20 years, and nobody's going to talk about it. Tim
Yeah.
Tebow's going to run one flag route in practice, and it's going to be all over every newspaper in the country. It's unbelievable. I know it ties to the coach. I don't get it. Makes no sense to me.
It's not a good signing. It really just isn't. And as you pointed out, Trevor Lawrence is going to throw his first 2 touchdowns week 1. One of them's going to go to Tim Tebow, and nobody's ever going to know Trevor Lawrence's name. And it's absolutely ridiculous.
And this could be, a tactic to sell tickets. I mean, they're talking about putting a team in London, and Jacksonville seems to be the lead candidate for that. Maybe they want to stay in Jacksonville. Who knows? But I don't get it. Anyway, let's move on. That topic irritates me. Hey, Bill, note Jalen Hurts' backstory in college. You want to go ahead and
I do.
touch on
So part of the personal stuff I was dealing with, I had to travel up to Georgia with my family. We got to have dinner with my aunt and my new uncle. Well, he's not super new. He's been around for a few years, Matt. And he wanted to specifically sit down and talk to me about sports, which I was really excited about. Obviously, I love talking sports. So we're sitting there and he says, hey, that Jalen Hurts kid, you really got something special. And I said, all right, I don't really like, I was like, I'm not going to disregard what you're telling me. Explain it for me. He said, okay. Well, he goes to Alabama, where he starts as a true freshman. He plays extremely well as a true freshman, gets the title game against Georgia, gets beat up, pulled at halftime for Tua Tagovailoa in his second season. And then Tua is the starter from there on out. Now, he continues to prepare. He continues to work. He continues to perfect his craft. He continues to get better and stronger. Comes in against Georgia, national title game for Tua, because Tua gets hurt, wins the national title game. Goes to Oklahoma, where he has the opportunity, after Oklahoma loses Kyler Murray, obviously, to start for Oklahoma, and he plays out of his mind, and they get drafted number 2 in the Eagles organization, where he's sitting behind none other than Carson Wentz. Comes in, he prepares his craft, works hard, is ready to go when the Eagles call on him. He said, anybody that can handle that kind of adversity in his young age is somebody that I would like to watch. And when he said that to me, I was like, man, have we just been so critical of Jalen Hurts because we wanted Carson Wentz so bad that we didn't sit down and look at the kid's pedigree? Granted, 52.3% completion percentage isn't going to cut it in the NFL, but it's 4 games. He was thrown in trash cans. So maybe myself included, as Eagles fans, we've been a little bit harsh on Jalen Hurts. I'm not saying I'm ready to turn around and give him the franchise, give him the keys to the Volkswagen or anything like that. But I think I'm going to be looking at his play this season with a little more leniency than I would have prior to having this conversation with my uncle.
I hear that story. I'm not going into the season hoping Jalen Hurts fails. I'm an Eagles fan. I want him to win. Obviously, I want the Eagles to do very well, and I want him to succeed. However, what a lot of people are forgetting is why Jalen Hurts transferred. Carson Wentz was destroyed by the media and the fan base here because after supposedly losing his job, he wanted out. He didn't say that. He just said nothing in the media. He did all the right things. He didn't say anything to anybody. Jalen Hurts did the same exact thing. He lost his job in the national title game to Tua Tagovailoa, and what did he do? He left because he's not that mentally strong. And I think people are forgetting that he did that at the college level instead of going to compete for his job. He just left. And I get it, college is different than the NFL. The transfer portal has kind of destroyed competition amongst college athletes, but he did the same thing. So
That's entirely true.
Yeah, people need to remember this and be like, we say, he's mentally got it. My question is, does he? Because he didn't do anything outrageously mentally tough. In the most important game of his rookie year, the Week 17 game against Washington, he fell flat on his face. He was the worst player on the field for both teams. He was terrible.
Yeah.
But so, and I know the season was already lost at that point, but Week 17 against a divisional opponent, you got to take that one really seriously. One, going into the offseason, you want some momentum. 2, you want to show, hey, I can do this against guys that I'm going to be playing twice a year for the next 3 years. Like that, I question not only his arm strength, but I question his mentality too. So that's where I'm going into next year. I'm going to be looking at how he handles adversity, really, and with Joe Flacco behind him, like I said on previous episode, who was a Super Bowl MVP at one point. How's he going to do? If he gets benched once, how's he going to do?
I appreciate that take a lot as well. And I guess I'm playing a little bit of a devil's advocate because I can see it from both sides. Well, we discussed this in a previous show where if Joe Flacco's breathing down his neck and he's not performing and the Eagles have a chance to contend, I think they pull him as well. Moving on, we'll continue with the Eagles stuff. The schedule was released the other day. I have it broken down on my screen over here that you can't see. What I believe that they are going to be able to do this season. If you want, we can run through them real fast, game by game, and you give me what you think.
Let's save that for next week. I'll shoot you a text when we get off here. Let's save that just because we're running deep already. The Phillies just started, so I want to watch some of the game. I want to watch my boy Nola dominate. Let's cover this last topic though, because it is an interesting topic, and I would like to close on this. Does having two favorite quote sports teams let you maintain the title of a true fan? That is a good question, and so I've been thinking about it. I don't know.
So here's why I bring it up is my wife's friend, Stacy, is here. Her husband has two favorite teams. He's a Carolina Panthers fan, and she said last night and laughed when she said it because she's a hardcore Eagles fan. She laughed when she said, and the San Diego Chargers. And I said, well, they're not the San Diego Chargers anymore. She goes, oh, yeah, I know. I just don't know if he knows. Okay.
Well, if he doesn't know, then I don't think he's a fan.
So the reason I brought it up was I said, and I explained to her, like, I'm obviously a diehard Eagles fan. However, I don't root against, and I sometimes even root for the Miami Dolphins. And like, I don't care for I don't root against the Kansas City Chiefs primarily because of Andy Reid. But the Eagles are my team. So are you telling me he has the Panthers are his team and then his other team is kind of like the Chargers? And she was like, no, he flat out told me that those are his two favorite teams. So again, the question is, does that make you a true fan when you have two favorite teams? And I don't think it does. I think that makes you a passing fan, bandwagon.
Yeah.
Which team is going to be good this year? The Panthers are good, so I'll be a Panthers fan. Like it's completely different than having a diehard, ride or die, one and done, let's go, EAGLES, Eagle. Like, you know what I'm feeling. And I think that when you have two teams that you kind of like, okay, well, if they're good this year, I'll be more their fans. That doesn't make you a real fan. It makes you a bandwagon.
To be fair, I have two favorite teams. It's the Eagles and whoever the Cowboys are playing against that week. But no, I don't think that makes you a true fan at all. That sounds like he was a fan of the Chargers until Drew Brees left, and then Cam Newton showed up in Carolina, and now he's a Carolina fan, and that's just all over the place. I root for individual certain players on other teams. Like I'm high on Herbert. I was a huge Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison fan growing up. I idolized them. Like I showed before, I had Harrison's jersey hanging in my closet. So I root for certain players on other teams, but I would never, hope that Marvin Harrison came to Philly and torched them for 400 yards and that the Eagles got blown out 49-0. Like I don't ever hope that the Eagles lose. And for the other teams, like I said, I hope that Dallas loses every week. That'd be kind of nice, but I don't root for anybody else. And that goes in baseball too. I love the sport of baseball as a whole. I root for individuals there too, particularly good pitchers. But even then, Phillies through and through.
Yeah, agreed. Like we both root for Mike Trout, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's going to do it for us. Unless you got one more thing you want to touch on.
No, man, that's it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Sorry about the break. Like Bill said, I was out traveling. Be sure to read my report on that. It's going to be quite lengthy. I got quite a few things to cover. I was traveling for quite a while. So I hope you guys can tune in and check that out as well. So Bill, you going to do a recap on the series this weekend?
Yes, I am. I also just wrote one on the national series. It's pretty good. It's already published to our website. I know the website is hard to get into, so I've been posting it directly to the link to the website on the Facebook page and the Twitter. If everybody could just go on, give it a read real quick, leave some comments. We'd love to talk to people. I don't know that you guys have gotten on and seen what our engagement on Facebook is, but we're about 99% engagement. When people comment to us, we definitely talk back. So please do that. And as always, thank you. Go ahead.
Subscribe, tell your friends about us. Anybody that you think is a sports fan, tell them to tune in, man. And we take opinions. If you want us to talk about something, on a show or whatever, we'll call you out. Heck, we'll even have you on. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, get engaged with us, guys.
All right, have a good one.
Thanks.
Another night. night